Hello everyone, this is some old guy with MS. So this video is basically going to be about death and life in the care home. This week, on Monday, at 11:20 at night, a good friend of mine passed away. Her name was Helen. She was 96, which is pretty good age. But there's another lady that sits at our table, Eileen, and she's 98 and still pushing herself around the care home. It is actually quite amazing. But anyway, so Helen passed away. I knew her for a little over 5 years. I've been here 6 years. Yeah, so she's been here for 5 and a bit. When she first came here, she had a scooter, and she kept banging into things. So they gave her a driving test, and she failed. So they took her electric scooter away and gave her a wheelchair. And so she pushed herself around in the wheelchair for a while. And then I guess, at least in the last year, she couldn't push herself and she had to be pushed. And she also had some kind of really weird disease. Her son Ralph said it was very similar to Parkinson's, but I guess very slow moving. But the thing with her is she couldn't talk very loud. So when she talked, you had to put your ear right to her mouth to figure out what she was trying to say. But Helen was, she was fiercely independent. I mean, fiercely independent. I remember kind of what sort of started her downfall is apparently she was in her room and dropped some tissue paper on the floor. So she's in a wheelchair, but she tries to stand up and pick up the tissue paper, and she fell and banged her head. And she had a bruise on her head for the longest time. Seemed like about 6 months, I guess. And it finally healed. But that was the beginning of her downhill trend. But Helen, she was a dear friend. We used to play Scrabble together. Did I say that? I guess not. Yeah, we played Scrabble together. Helen, Eiley, and myself. Sort of like the three totally messed up musketeers. There's me, who can't move, Eiley, who can move but is deaf, and then Helen, who she just kind of got everything all messed up. We would play Scrabble, and it would be her turn, and she'd show us what letters she has, and we'd try and help her figure out a word. But quite often, well, Eiley was really good at Scrabble, and she would usually figure out a word for her, with the letters that she had, and then Helen would put down something different, and it was really quite kind of funny and amazing. And sometimes she'd put down a word that didn't make any sense. Well, I guess it wasn't a word, it was just a bunch of letters all scrambled up. And Eiley would look at it and go, well, that doesn't make sense. What are you trying to make? What word are you trying to make? And then Helen would look at it, sort of figure out that, oh yeah, that doesn't make sense, and remove a letter. And then Eiley would go, oh, you're trying to make, whatever, like down, DOWN. And Helen would sort of nod a little bit. And, or we'd be playing Scrabble. It's Helen's turn. And she'd make a word and not connected to anything. In Scrabble, all the words have to be connected, right? And Annie would go, well, that's a good word, but it doesn't connect to anything. No, you can't put it way out there. It's got to connect to something. And it was actually very entertaining. And then when it was my turn, I'd look at my letters and, again, so it'd say, I had down like DOWN. I'd say to Eiley, because I can't move. And Helen can't really move. So I'd say to Eiley, okay, down. And Eiley go, crown? And go, no, down. And Eiley go, down? And go, no, down. Down, down, down. And she go, frown? And go, no. And then she'd look at my letters and she'd go, Oh, you mean down? I'm like, yes. And then Eileen go, well, why didn't you say that? And I'm like, I said it like 30 times. And Eileen didn't hear that. And she says, you said it a few times? And I go, yeah. And the whole game was like that. And then when, Helen got a word, she'd always wear these bulky sweaters. She'd go to put her word down, and the cuff of her sweater would catch all the other piles and totally screw up the board. Then I'd look at it and go, well, that doesn't, well, what do we have here? None of this makes sense. And then she'd spend like 10, she'd spend like 10 or 20 minutes trying to get the board straightened out. And sometimes she did, but quite often not. And playing Scrabble with those two was very frustrating. Very frustrating for me because I know what I want, but I can't move. So anyway, Helen's gone, passed away Monday at 11:20 p.m. That is, at night. So okay, I think I'll end this here. So good luck, everyone. Stay safe and have a good and prosperous life. Like Spock said, live long and prosper. Okay. Goodbye. Show numbers 8.